Hello everybody, welcome back, Hypno Buddies, to Chaos Head Noah. Well, we have pretty clearly and obviously walked into a trap, haven't we? I wonder where this is going to go. I don't have a whole lot to comment on from the last episode, so let's just get right into it and see what's in store. They clearly know we're here because they're manipulating us. Also, very interesting that we are now in this room. We've only ever seen this room in just kind of vignettes and asides. And now we are here. Nice chairs. Nanami! I made it to the giant 31st floor, and there was only one entrance to it. Wasting no time, I flung it open and dove straight through. And just like that, I was in the very same room that I saw in my vision. This was the room you saw in that vision? Did we have another vision of this room? We had a vision of this room in the second ending, before Sua started torturing us with the images of the 4 murders. We saw this room then. Several monitors hung from the ceiling, each displaying the word Nozumi in a white background. Guys, you could have just put some posters up. Those things never change. I looked all over for Nanami. The room was so dark I couldn't make anything out clearly. But, Sua? Nanami? There were no signs of life. No movement, no breathing, nothing at all. Yeah, Nishiju, you son of a bitch. Well, you know what? I'm going to place some of this blame on you, Senna, because your disguise clearly didn't do jack. Chasing after me, Senna flew through the open door. She forcefully grabbed my hand. We're getting out of here now. This is a trap. Either that or Noah has some sort of automatic defense against the Gigalomaniacs. Maybe that's it? But Nanami is... Can't you hear the sound? Yeah, they can tell. Uh-oh. That's a door. Suddenly the door that we'd left open slammed shut all on its own. The room grew even darker. Yeah, this road does seem like it's going to be awfully short. Shit. Senna ran to the door and wrestled with the knob, but it refused to budge. Then, the outline of the D-sword in her hands suddenly faded to nothing. It was almost as if it had completely dissolved. We've been locked in. Can't you just get us out using your powers? I can't form delusions properly. Is this a weakness of hers? She seems pretty good at it. She can form white chains and stuff like that easily enough. Or you could just hit the door with your sword. Senna's face twisted. She rubbed her temples and weakly shook her head. I was getting a headache. I only noticed it when I regained my focus. It wasn't severe by any means, but the minor, faint pain seemed to reverberate from the very center of my head. An ache that throbbed and throbbed and throbbed. This seems to be a symptom of when you're being affected by a rucksack. I felt kind of lightheaded. Nanami, where are you? Is this one of Shogun's traps? Is Shogun my ally? What kind of company is Nozumi Technology? Senna had such small tits. That's a random thought. I was thinking if we're being affected, I'm dreading another scene, like in the first ending, where we just felt like randomly molesting Remy. And now this thought comes up. It's like, my guy, no, you're being affected, learn it, deal with it. Who's Hatano anyway? Weird, I'm losing my train of thought. Back to Senna's tits. We're being hit with biorhythmical attacks. And a laser, apparently. The display on 2 of the monitors overhead suddenly changed. Oh, hey, they can display something different. In place of the Nozumi logo, the faces of 2 middle-aged men appeared, one on each monitor. Ah. So the leader of that political group and the leader of the church? My word, the youth of these days know no fear. Of course, that is meant entirely in a negative sense. Indeed. Perhaps this is the result of the lax education system you implemented, Mr. Onahana. You're going to blame him for that? Trust me, we don't go to school. I was merely executing the plan as specified by the Committee of 300. As a single link within the chain of the Worldwide Human Domestication Project, it was a serviceable program. The Worldwide Human Domestication Project, is that what we're calling it? Because we know what the plan for Noah is. Or we know at least what Narose's plan for Noah is. What was going on? Who were these people? The fact that you were also the one to shut it down proved quite amusing. I imagine that fell quite outside the Committee of 300's expectations. Yes, Mr. Kuramochi. That is a name we haven't gotten yet. Yes, Mr. Kuramochi. Ignorant to our ambitions, they fully intended to rule the world without a shred of opposition. To them, such an action served as a declaration of war. Conquering the world does not require the power of 300. The two of us are more than enough. Man, they are just in monologue mode here. Syndrome would not approve. What were those two talking about? Then, right as I was thinking that, the two men on the monitors turned their stares to me. I kind of wish the monitors would change. We have never seen these people's faces. Placing the matter aside for now, it all went exactly according to Narose's predictions. I never would have thought anyone would be foolish enough to wander directly into our nest. Senna, this is all your fault. Damn it, I knew I should have relied on Causeway. If we were to leave them here for a week, they would grow far too debilitated to resist. After which, how about we return and treat ourselves to a rousing torture show? And we've already collected and stored Hatano Seda's code sample in our database. Oh, I was about to say her dad, but no, that's her name. They've already got Hatano Senna's code sample. That actually does make sense. And that would also go along with what she mentioned when we first encountered her, when she said we'd been gathered. We have not yet been gathered, but she certainly has. Hatano Senna? Who was that? We would be better off brainwashing her. Once that is done, shall we make her our soldier? I propose we not only make her our soldier, but our plaything as well. Enslaving our own little gigalomaniac girl sounds like an even better option. But guys, she has tiny tits. I see your tastes are just as refined as mine, Mr. Onohana. Guys, can we haven't had a dirty ending for a while, okay? I was getting used to it. Well then, our dear little gigalomaniacs, please enjoy your confinement to the fullest. 1 week from now, Project Noah will have brought a drastic change upon the world. You have my greatest sympathies for not being able to bear witness to the moment of reform. Referring to the third melt. The old men disappeared from the monitors and the room was covered in darkness once again. Well, I guess we're stuck in here for a while. Seriously, can your sword not cut through things? It had been a trap all along. No kidding. To think two grown men, one of which I was sure was a member of the House of Representatives, would join forces just to trap some random otaku freak like me. This couldn't be real. It had to be a fucking joke. Nanami wasn't here. She had to be imprisoned somewhere else. I felt absolutely pathetic for playing right into their hands. If I'd have known this would happen, I would have just listened to Senna. To think, the founder of the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light and a member of the Diet would both be part of the Committee of 300. Senna slammed her shoulder against the entrance again and again, but it refused to give in. It had probably been locked from the outside, and seeing as it was extremely sturdy, trying to bust it open was likely impossible. Why did her sword dissolve? Was there something that caused that? Because I would really like her to try it. The Committee of 300. If I remembered correctly, wasn't that the name of that organization which occasionally popped up in conspiracy theories? Did it actually exist? If you think about it, it all adds up. After all, the Committee of 300 were the ones who originally founded the theory of silent weapons. What was that Project Noah thing those guys were just talking about? It is the nuclear bomb of silent weapons. Having given up, well, that didn't take long, Senna stepped away from the door in defeat. She surveyed the dimly lit room with a sullen expression. It's the silent weapon development program that Nozomi Technology has been pursuing. Silent weapon? To put it in layman's terms, it's a mind control device that operates over an extensive range. Mind reading, visual projection, and control over the five senses. It doesn't harm you physically. It has no sound, color, or scent, and it's invisible to the naked eye. I don't know, it seems to make a fair amount of noise in the background, as we've established. However, it is sure to slowly and quietly contaminate the minds of the masses. Silent weapon attacks can be executed without anyone noticing. Isn't that just like the powers of a gigalomaniac? Of course. Silent weapons originated from the idea of artificially creating gigalomaniacs, after all. It was also insane that it didn't even feel real. I feel like Remy is an artificially created gigalomaniac, judging from what we've heard of her history. But we'll see. But in the end, that was just the way things were. I was no hero. Even if I was told that an insane conspiracy such as that was true, and it was currently unfolding in Shibuya, I wouldn't feel the slightest urge to stand against it. Even if I were to go out and fight, I wouldn't be able to help anyone. I'd just leave it to someone who was actually useful. Maybe, just maybe, the New Gen incidents, as well as the endless string of bizarre events that had been plaguing me, were all related to this Project Noah. If that was the case, I would need to leave Shibuya as soon as possible in order to protect myself. Get me out of this crazy-ass town. All I wanted was for Nanami to be safe, me to be safe, and for us to live in peace. That was all I wished for. For that to happen, I needed to find a way out of here. I couldn't stand the thought of being stuck in a place like this for upwards of a week, especially with there being no sign of any food or water anywhere. Oh, so that's what those guys have been talking about. If we didn't eat or drink for an entire week, we'd inevitably start to break down. Worst case scenario, we could even die. Senna, find a way to get us out of here. Seek a way out. Seek a way out. The door won't open. Senna looked utterly exhausted. What about your D-sword? Yeah, like Psy'Min Sezz. For some reason, I can't summon it. Okay, so I was right. My powers are being blocked. This is a silent weapon attack. Nishiju. Okay, so no sword. We're gonna have to get innovative. A silent weapon attack. The hell? Are you saying there's no way out? Senna, with a look of pure exhaustion, slumped down to the floor. Are you okay? Damn it. My body feels so heavy. Yeah, not only are you stuck here for a week, you're also subjected to whatever silent weapon attacks they feel like inflicting on you in the meantime. And there's some kind of weird feeling. Like my chest is being constricted. Exactly. How do you enjoy the chain? Yep, there we go. Her breathing shallow, Senna undid a few buttons of her uniform. Okay, this is going to be an entertaining week for whoever's in the security room watching the cameras. Even in the dark, I could see that her skin was drenched in sweat. Despite our situation, I found myself getting flustered. Come to think of it, it did feel pretty hot in here. Hey, do you have any water? Don't you have like 8 crunchy coons on you? Of course I didn't, but I was getting thirsty too, and fast. The thought of spending a full week in this heat without a drop of water made me feel utterly hopeless. Senna was staring fixedly at me. I knew there was no way I'd be able to maintain eye contact with a 3D girl, so I desperately looked away. But I could still feel her gaze piercing through me. Oh, maybe we're going to get the molestation scene in the other direction. Brace yourself, Takumi. Don't look. No, I don't have any water. When I answered, I took a quick glance at Senna. Our eyes met. Hold on, what's with those shimmering eyes of hers? She almost looks like a love-struck maiden or some shit. You guys have been trapped in this room for 3 minutes. God, you guys are going to be a wreck in a week. Well, I was both a virgin and I had never had a girlfriend before, so I didn't know if that actually happened in reality. Panicking, I turned my back to Senna and gulped down my building saliva. What is this? Careful, Nishiju. They might be manipulating our emotions. Exactly. There's no way they're just going to leave you here and turn around. Huh? What do you mean? When I look at you, I feel an unbearable longing. Damn it. What the hell kind of attack is? Yeah, something that would never come up under normal circumstances. So clearly it must be an attack. So the attack involved making Senna feel like she'd fallen in love with me? Foo-hee-hee-hee. Or could it be that she'd already had feelings for me to begin with? No. This is definitely an attack. Don't flatter yourself. Yeah, no way in hell. Use your brain, Takumi. Exactly. What the hell are they using to manipulate our emotions? In the end, human emotions are nothing but electronic signals flowing through our brains. I mean, for crying out loud, I do this sort of thing in a stage hypnosis show. Technology to interfere with those signals is being researched all over the world. In the worst case scenario, it may have already been put into practice. And if we were being hit by a silent weapon, like Noah 2, doing so would be child's play. Do you get it now? This is what I meant back when I said the world was an electronic device. Does that mean it's like a program? Lines of zeros and ones? It'd be incredibly easy to tamper with something like that. It's a scientifically proven fact that electronic signals run through our brains, so in reality, not only our emotions, but both the mind and the soul are reducible to mere electronic signals. Reducible? Reducible. I'm going to say that's reducible. Wait a second. That's no different from 2D, is it? For example, let's look at a heroine from an eroge. Lisa Lotte from ESO, the anime version of Seratan and Senna. What's the difference between the four of them? If what Senna says about everything in the world being an electronic device is true, then there are no differences. They're all the same, mere electronic signals running through a device. Apparently the guys who are running the rucksack are eroge fans too. Well, they're all fat otaku, apparently. They're just watching this on the screen. It's like, guys, it's like we can make our own 2D whenever we want now. But it's in 3D. Oh my god, it's a revolutionary new world. I felt like I finally, albeit vaguely, understood why Senna had used the word error. If all of that was true, then this Noah 2 weapon would be like some sort of super deadly virus, or someone using cheats in order to PK. Not even Neidhart could win against those kind of people. And not only that, but compared to Neidhart, I was a ridiculously shitty playable character. Psy'Min will confirm that. So in the end, being trapped here and starving to death like a pathetic loser, well, that was a pretty fitting game over for me. And episode. It's not my fault! This blatant death flag. It's because of the person controlling me. It's all their fault. Hey, don't put this on me, okay? Alright, this is your fault. You're a bitch. You know it. I didn't make you a bitch. You were born that way. That's why I keep calling you that. Don't you say this is my fault, okay? That is a cop-out. That is a cop-out, and I will not stand for it in my Let's Play. Cradling my head, I curled into a ball. About 28 hours had passed since we'd first gotten locked in here. During that time, I had dozed off and lost consciousness countless times. God, this is just like getting locked up with Yua. I had been overwhelmed by a surge of uncontrollable emotions. At least with Yua, I got some shitty pasta. With depression, mania, and other similar feelings leaving me mentally exhausted. So they're just emotionally exhausting you. Senna and I hadn't said a single word to each other the entire time. She'd pretty much been completely and entirely useless ever since we'd gotten locked up, really. Yeah, Senna, this was a bad plan. I'm going to have to pin this one on you. This infiltration scheme, not good. Not good. The final ray of hope was the PC. There's a PC in here? Well, that seems like an oversight. Aside from the ones that had shown the detestable faces of the Diet, I'm going to say that's Diet, member, and that religion's founder, there were a ton of other monitors decorating the room. And every one of them was connected to a single PC. Since the PC was connected to the internet, I'd tried posting a bunch of SOS messages on various boards. Yeah, I can't imagine that's going to amount to much. But it had all been in vain. I hadn't been able to post anything at all. The PC could download just fine, but uploading was completely throttled. Any attempts at sending chat messages or emails were quickly snuffed out. You can't get through the firewall. Under the orders of those two old guys, someone somewhere had to have been watching us. But why were they letting us access any information at all? I would soon learn the answer to that question, just so you can find out what's happening outside the third melt. A few hours after starting to gather info online, I checked the articles tab of Taboo on a whim. Riot breaks out at Shibuya's Scramble Crossing. An article with that title caught my eye. And immediately after that, it happened. Shaky shake? Shaky shake. It all began with a tremor from below. The floor, no, the very building itself, started to shake violently. The very next instant, I was struck with a violent ringing in my ears. It was such an intensely shrill, resonant sound. My head felt like it was about to burst open. I looked at Senna, who was covering her ears in agony. And then, a thunderous roar. The entire building thrashed around violently as if the world itself was trying to make a gigantic milkshake. What an analogy. Unable to stand upright anymore, I tumbled over and my back crashed against the wall. Senna was crouched down in the center of the room, curled into a ball. And above her head, the monitor affixed to the ceiling was swaying back and forth like a pendulum. Well, that seems bad. The world suddenly went into slow motion. The swaying of the monitor slowed down. With a dull sound, the aluminum pole holding the monitor snapped. Are we about to have another delusion? Flowerbed 2.0? And it fell down, ever so slowly, towards Senna. It was a feeling I had experienced once before, a yup. It was exactly like when Ayase had jumped off the school roof. She was going to die. If that giant monitor fell on her head, Senna would die. I couldn't make it in time. There were roughly 5 meters between us. Besides, I didn't have the courage to risk my life to save a 3D girl anyway. But if it was my Saratan figure... Even so, a delusion flared to life inside my mind. In that delusion, I kicked off the shaking floor, bolted over to Senna, and threw my arms around her in a magnificent save. And all of a sudden, that happened in an instant. In just a blink of an eye, my body teleported over to Senna. Hey, you learned Flash Step 2. My body threw its arms around her and tumbled to the floor. The sound of the monitor crashing to the ground echoed right beside my ear. Even though the room had been so dark before, my field of vision was dyed white. Kaboosh! Along with the ear-splitting sound of an explosion, I was slammed with an even greater impact than before. And with that, my last thread of consciousness was severed. How long had I been out? My consciousness drifted in and out of a deep slumber. I felt a ticklish, slightly annoying tingle on the tip of my nose. And upon noticing that faint, ever so slightly warm sensation, I slowly opened my eyes. You're just kind of huddled with her? Yep. Oh, huh? Senna's face was only a few inches from mine, her long hair draped over my cheeks. Her faint breaths blew right against my nose. Her eyes were closed, but her eyelashes were quivering. She must have only lost consciousness. We were really, really close. If I wanted to, I could have easily moved in and kissed her. I frantically tried to skirt away, but my body wouldn't move. That was when I finally realized what exactly had happened. Did something crush your legs? Keeping my head completely still, I tried to survey my surroundings, but it was pitch black. I couldn't make out anything. Oh, or are you guys under rubble? It felt like a thin film had been draped over my field of vision, but there was no film. It was just a cloud of dust. We had been buried in rubble. So it wasn't that I couldn't see anything around me, it's that there wasn't any gaps in the rubble at all. No matter what direction I looked, I couldn't find a single opening. We had been lodged into an extremely cramped pocket of space beneath the rubble. Whenever I tried to force my hands or legs to move, I would hear the sound of pebbles crumbling to the ground. That sound made me realize I couldn't move or do anything at all. Cold sweat beaded on my forehead. Had there been an earthquake or something? Shibuya had experienced a lot of those recently, but maybe they had all been foreshocks. If so, this could have been the biggest earthquake to hit Tokyo since the Great Kanto earthquake. Did that mean that the Nozomi building had collapsed? The terrorist attack that had happened in America several years ago back came to mind, bringing an intense wave of hopelessness with it. There's our reference. The fact that we hadn't been injured yet, despite being stuck in a crevice, was probably nothing more than an insane stroke of luck. Yet being the key word. The rubble was just barely holding itself together, maintaining an extremely delicate balance. I had no way of making sure, but it was definitely possible that dozens of tons of debris were piled on top of us. If I made a single wrong move, that balance would be lost, and then that massive pile of rubble would crush us in less than a second. Imagining that as my last moment, I immediately froze in fear. Yes, please don't delusion that. I didn't want to die. I couldn't handle the idea of being crushed to death in a place like this, where nobody would ever know. Hurry up and rescue me! A rescue squad, the self-defense force, I don't care who, just get me out of here! I tried straining my ears to see if I could hear any people around, but there was nothing but silence, a deafening, eerie silence. All I could hear was the sound of Senna's breathing. Damn it! Sleep like a goddamn baby, why don't you? Senna was lying sprawled on top of me, our bodies tightly pressed against each other, perfectly complementing one another. Her chest, her stomach, her legs, nearly her entire body was right on top of me. She was heavy. She was heavy and being forced to feel the softness of her arms and how slender her legs were. Oh God. Naturally, I could still feel Senna's breath heating my cheek, and within it, I could smell something sweet. Perhaps because of the crunchy coups she was always eating. Yeah, her breath is probably amazing. Her breaths were deep and steady. They followed a distinct rhythm. And each time she breathed, I could feel her breasts faintly moving up and down directly against my body. I thought they were tiny. Surely you have to try to do something. Was this some kind of torture? I almost wonder that. I wonder if this isn't actually happening, and this is just the new thing the rucksacks guys decided to do to us for giggles. An attack of this magnitude would cause all sense of reason within me to crumble in 5 minutes tops. I give it 2. I needed to wake her up somehow in order to avert this crisis. Wait, I'd have to wake her up? Would it be right for me to do that? I mean, if I woke her up and she saw the state we were in, how would she react? She was the same girl who regularly scowled at everyone and everything, so even though it was an accident far beyond my control, there was no doubt in my mind that she'd label me a pervert anyway. These are the least of your concerns, my guy. I don't think she even has room to hit you. Considering she wouldn't be thinking clearly, there was the very real possibility that she might rip my throat out. Actually, that's true. She could choke you to death. Fair point. And at this distance, taking Senna's position into account, not only could she easily do that, but I would be completely defenseless against it too. Well, that was probably a bit too extreme to be realistic. But if Senna really were to wake up in a panic, she could very well end up causing the rubble to collapse on top of us, and that'd be the end of it. What the hell was I supposed to do? Yeah, this is a sticky wicket. I'm not too sure what we're going to do here. If I could have ripped my hair out, I would have. But since I obviously couldn't do that, I resorted to banging the back of my head against the rubble. Through that, I was able to suppress my instinctual lust for Senna. I mean, you did manage to delude yourself into saving Senna's life. Surely there's a way to delude yourself out of the situation. You deluded Ayase and Yua, and Nanami and Momose out of a bunch of rubble in the main route, the original route. Don't pay this wench any heed. I'm not and never will be into 3D girls. The girls I love are all 2D. Seratan, appear before me. Drive these worldly desires from my mind. Yes, just focus on Seratan. I'm not into stuck-up bitches like her, so I won't give in to my lust. I mustn't give in to my lust. I mustn't. Oh, there's the boner. Yeah, I can't control it anymore. What did I say about 2 minutes? I don't think that even was 2 minutes. Phooey, she is unconscious, isn't she? Surely no one will mind if I make ample use of her while she is... Please don't. Please don't. YouTube, I swear I didn't... Come on, don't blame me for this. Don't blame me. Not my fault. I didn't do it. Wasn't me. How about I taste those arrogant lips of hers? The same ones that do nothing but spout self-righteous bullshit. Now you're thinking of Ayase. No, I shouldn't go straight for the lips. I'm not mentally prepared for that quite yet. In that case, how about I aim for her cheek? What does the skin of a 3D girl taste like, I wonder? Does it taste like sweat? Or does it perhaps taste sweet? I assume she's going to wake up before any of this happens. Yeah, there we go. Startled, I cut off the delusion inside my mind. Good. Senna's voice leaked out of her mouth, mixing in with her breath. It was quiet as a whisper. Her voice was so soft and frail, I would have never imagined it could come from someone who was normally so fierce and unapproachable. Ah, her dad. Her eyes were still closed. It didn't seem like she'd woken up yet. It didn't seem like she'd woken up on yet. Game, get your shit together. She'd been talking in her sleep. I instantly felt a pang of relief, realizing she hadn't read my impure, perverted thoughts. From behind her closed eyelids, a tiny drop fell. Maybe you influenced her dreams in some way. And with a barely audible plop, it landed on my cheek. It was so very warm, and yet after only a fleeting moment it went cold. Even Senna cried sometimes, I suppose. Now even I was starting to feel sad. Had something happened between her and her father? Come on, Psy'Min already predicted some closure here. We need to get to that. A little worried, I timidly called out to her. Yeah, wakey wakey. With a twitch, Senna's body started to stir. Her eyes gently opened. Not perverted, I saved your life, don't get mad. At point-blank range, our eyes met. The drowsy Senna stared at me. Her eyes were still sleepy. She didn't seem to be fully awake yet. Don't look, it's embarrassing. There's nothing else to look at. It didn't take long for Senna's face to instantly turn beet red. Her eyes shot open and her gaze raced from side to side. Senna is not prepared for this situation. Yeah. What's going on here? Don't move! We'll be crushed by the rubble. Focus on the rubble. Back to angry. Rubble? Nani? I explained to Senna how we had been buried alive by the earthquake. Right. There were those violent tremors. Then, a large monitor fell from above, and oh, you caught that. You saved me, didn't you? Yes, let us focus on that. I'm not a pervert, I'm a hero. And a bitch. Oh yeah, that did happen, didn't it? Though I don't have a single clue as to how. Well, thanks. And I'm the one who was supposed to protect you. I never would have thought that I'd be the one getting saved. I thought you would be a lot more helpless, but it turns out even you can step up and be a man when you have to. Briefly, only as a delusion. Takumi being a man is strictly a delusion. Let's be clear about that. Yeah, thanks for the great compliment. She's not even looking at Takumi, she's looking at me. Is who she's looking at. I never would have thought I'd get complimented like that in a million years. It must have been the first time in my entire life that I've gotten a compliment from a 3D girl. Granted, Saratan told me I was totally amazing all the time, but still. Unfortunately, our situation doesn't look great, huh? Yeah, we're pressed right up against each other. The rubble, idiot. Yeah, baka! That's not what I meant. I'm talking about how we've been buried alive. Oh yeah, sorry, that part. Yeah, that too. Well, being pressed up against each other like this isn't great either. Try doing something with your gigalomaniac powers. Why don't you try doing something with your gigalomaniac powers there, Takumi? That might be difficult, but I'll do what I can. Nishiju, look into my eyes. Ah, my favorite 4 words. What? Why? Mutual recognition. Yep, we have to establish mutual recognition between us. That's how we got the stuff off Ayase. Did she just ask me to look into her eyes? Being squished together like this was already embarrassing enough, but doing that would completely smash my sense of reason I had left. I'd go feral. Stop wasting time. I know you heard me. Look into my eyes. Urged on by Senna's voice, I reluctantly obeyed. I gazed into her eyes, then those eyes turned directly toward me. Okay, where's the delusion? Okay, yeah, this was really embarrassing. I'd never made eye contact with a girl for such a long time before. I'd never even looked people in the eye while talking to them in the first place, so I wasn't even close to comfortable with this. We still haven't... I don't know, I need to go look up maybe after the fact. the rules governing this whole mutual recognition thing. Because some people just seem to be able to be doing things, and other people not so much, and sometimes they eye contact and whatever, and sometimes they do other stuff. It's a good thing this game references JoJo's Bizarre Adventure so much, because the rules are about as consistent here as they are there. Making eye contact essentially meant that you were the only thing the other person was looking at. Right now, I was reflected in Senna's eyes, meaning I was the only thing she was looking at. I was monopolizing Senna's field of view, and we were so close. Upon realizing that, I couldn't help but think that this embarrassing act was just as erotic as any H scene ever was. Gah! Curse my eroge brain. Oh, believe me, I curse it enough for you. Shit, I needed to stop these idiotic delusions. We were making eye contact. What if Senna was to see through me? Is this delusion coming? Is there a plan here? You wouldn't normally be able to read someone's thoughts just by looking into their eyes, but Kazubi could, and Senna was a gigglomaniac as well. Can't you just flash step out of here? I couldn't do this! Making eye contact with a girl was impossible! Stop looking away, Nishiju! Despite her saying that, Senna's gaze wasn't pointed in the right direction either. We're just a couple awkward teenagers. Watch Senna be a huge otaku shut-in as well. From what little we know about her, it certainly could be the case. I can't do this. Oh my goodness, she can't do it either. Oh, actually, I can't do it either. Are you having trouble with the delusions, or are you just both horny teenagers? Being this close is embarrassing. Seeing Senna stained beet red breathed some life back into me, actually. Where did all this moe come from? Was this girl not actually 3D? A girl this cute couldn't be 3D. Senna, you're so cute, Senna. I hope you guys enjoy your final moments buried under a building. It is hot in here, isn't it? Senna's forehead, face, and even the nape of her neck were drenched in sweat. With how close we were, I could even smell it. If this is how things end, this is going to be even shorter than the Nanami route. Surely things go further than this, right? Because if not, I mean, ugh. I had been looking forward to so much out of Senna. I was hoping she would deliver on promises, and things did not follow through. There was no wind or anything either. The rubble burying us had no openings. Was there even a way for air to pass through at all? If not, then we were going to run out of oxygen pretty soon. Upon thinking that, I realized that Senna's breathing had become really heavy. The rhythmic movement of her small chest on top of me had gotten much faster than before. We're just going to keep commenting on her tiny chest. All right. Would imminent death help you to focus? Because you've got that. Are you suffocating? Shut up! It's just hot. No, I'm pretty sure it's suffocating. Damn it, what was I supposed to take from that? Whatever, just use your gigglomaniac powers already. Shouldn't be able to make all this debris disappear like magic? Nishiju, yeah, can't you do something? No, he's even hornier than you are. I can't concentrate like this. The hell are you on about? Don't tell me you're starting to rely on me now. How exactly do you expect me to do anything about this? Yeah, Takumi is the most unreliable guy in this game. Yeah, flower bed aside. Materializing a flower bed beneath Ayase and saving you earlier were both just coincidences. It's not like I did anything even on purpose, let alone consciously. Don't rely on me. I'm supposed to rely on you, Senna. Yeah, you're running out of that whole oxygen thing. Also, please stop breathing all this warm air on me. It's actually torture. And stop dripping on me. A drop of Senna's sweat fell in my mouth. It was salty. Oh, god damn it. I was on the verge of tears. My sense of reason was this close to flying out the goddamn window. It was in my mouth. I was holding it in my mouth. Senna's juices. Yeah, Senna, get mad again. Come on. Nishiju. Senna's face was still red, but she seemed to be a lot more angry than she was before. So back to standard. I'll fucking kill you. Huh? Are you trying to get him to focus? All I did was taste your sweat. You can't kill me for that. Besides, it's your fault for letting it drop in my mouth. Taking advantage of this. How dare! In the middle of speaking, Senna buried her face in my chest, unable to bear the embarrassment. I thought she'd passed out again. There was no way she had done it intentionally, but for me, that was the strongest blow out of anything so far. Kaha, so cute. Her breathing, it was passing through the gaps in my clothes and directly out of my skin. Fui! This is the best ending. No, it's not. Senna's like, ah, shit. Quickly realizing what she'd done, Senna pulled her head back. Aw, couldn't it have lasted just a little bit longer? I'm surprised you didn't bang your head on something when you did that. Stop it! What? What the hell are you thinking about? Yeah, I think she's picking up on your thoughts. She was obviously shaken. Maybe she was just used to being the tough person in the room, so someone else taking control really left her flustered. Cut off! Your delusions! Right now, Nishiju! Your, uh-oh, your crotch. Your crotch. Your thing. Your thing is hardened and it's touching my thigh, you idiot. Well, that's where this is going. Is this just where it ends? Just under the rubble? Come on, guys. Two gigalomaniacs. Two reality-controlling gigalomaniacs you can't handle. A little bit of fallen building on you. What? Oh yeah, I did feel something there. Senna's soft, pillowy thighs. I said to stop the goddamn delusions. Yeah, she's just hearing all these thoughts. Stop thinking about my thighs! There's the punch. Oh, the headbutt. Okay, there we go. There's room for a headbutt. Suddenly I found my face on the receiving end of a brutal headbutt. And since it was a surprise attack and a mighty strong one at that, the single strike knocked me out like a light. Well, that may have been counterproductive. When I wake up, I better not be under rocks. I have no intention of returning to the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light. We're having a little interlude with Norose. That is truly most regrettable. I very much valued your skills as a scientist. I believe took advantage of is a more apt description. I will believe in your words no longer. I'm fully aware that your role as founder is nothing more than another farce. Did you not wish for the Divine Light's salvation as well? Are they digging themselves out of their own rubble? I did wish for that, once. But not anymore. I wish to be out from under these rocks. Then what exactly is it that you desire? Atonement through death. Oh, that can be arranged. Once one has come into contact with the Divine Light, they can no longer part from it. Even if you plan to distance yourself, the Divine Light will not abandon even the most estranged soul. My reliance on a god has come to an end. As someone who has created something on the level of such a being, I have no right to cling to such beliefs. Oh, they're just randomly chatting while digging us out? I mean, they had to come back for us eventually, right? They want our code sample. Nishiju! Wake up, Nishiju! I could hear an extremely pompous conversation between two unfamiliar men. Senna's hushed shouts jutted in between the two voices, causing me to open my eyes. Did they go out of their way to make sure that we would survive this destruction? Like they Noah'd a little safe zone around us, because they knew they needed us. Unsurprisingly, we were still squished together, enclosed in rubble with no way to escape. You chose this future of your own volition, leaving the responsibility all upon you. That burden is too much for one man to bear, wouldn't you say? If the salvation of the Divine Light were to be bestowed upon you, you would be provided moderate relief. Indeed, this is the future I chose. Under the Divine Light's guidance. Or rather, your guidance, Kuramochi. Kuramochi, you die. This is a pompous conversation. Someone's here. You can hear them, can't you? I nodded in response. I could hear the voices of two men. Seemed like some Cosmic Church of the Divine Light randos. At the very least, it definitely wasn't a rescue party. I don't think it's randos. It sounds like the two guys. If it is randos, then, interesting. It's him. And he's close. I could vividly hear the sound of Senna gritting her teeth. Oh, you think it's your father? Save your embellishments, Kuramochi Yudai. I refuse to fall victim to your silver tongue anymore. Kuramochi was the name of one of the guys. So that's definitely him. Who's the other one? It's like, Idahana? Something like that? This is most regrettable. However, despite your absence, Noah 2 has already been completed. All that remains is to transmit our will throughout the world. Not our, but yours and Inohana's. Oh, so this isn't Inohana. So is this, Narose then? Narose and, Kuramochi. I don't know where Inohana is then. Indeed. Now that the third melt experiment has proven a success, Project Noah has now completed its trial phase. A third man joined the conversation. Oh, so all three of them are out there. What the hell were they talking about? And where was it coming from? The fact that we could hear their voices meant that they had to be at least somewhere close to us. Maybe there wasn't as much rubble on top of us as we might have thought. Surely they're intentionally digging us outright. It's not going to be a surprise that we're here. Senna shifted slightly. Her hand gripped my uniform tightly. So tightly it was like she was enduring an intense pain. Her gaze pointed downward, but she didn't make eye contact with me. From this day forth, the ones who shall control the world will fall from 300 to 2. Today marks the dawn of a new world order. Oh, that seems like some light. My field of vision was suddenly overwhelmed with light. The small pieces of rubble surrounding us began to crumble. Senna raised her head in shock. A hand reached toward us from above, peeking through a gap in the rubble. Is it Hatano? You! That hand began to pull Senna up through the debris. As it did, the crevice beneath the rubble widened, and once her weight was lifted off of me, I could finally move again. Well, this room's messed up. I crawled out of the gap that had been made by Senna's body. It was the room in the Nozomi building, the very same room we had been trapped in. To think that you, just like Narose, would refuse our generous offer. Do you truly wish to live as livestock, rather than on the ruling side? Almost all of the monitors that had been hanging from the ceiling had crashed to the floor, leaving all their screens broken. Naturally, nothing was displayed on them anymore. Even the walls and various other chunks of the room were beginning to collapse, but all in all, the room wasn't anywhere near as bad as I expected it to be. I'd assumed we had been buried alive, but there wasn't even that much rubble. In hindsight, I could have probably escaped if I had tried to. I felt like such an idiot for being too scared to move. I don't know, it took them a while to dig you out of that. Well, that's a Hatano, all right. Senna. Senna was facing a man I had never seen before. He was wearing a ragged coat that complemented his clouded eyes. Overall, he looked like your typical homeless man. I had the feeling I had met him somewhere before, but I couldn't remember where. Maybe we had passed each other in Shibuya at some point. Aside from the two of them, there was no one else there. The voices of the people who had trapped us, the member of the House of Representatives and the Cosmic Church's founder, they must have come from a speaker somewhere in the room. Okay, so Hatano was digging us out, but they were trying to talk to him, and yeah, it's tough to say which one of those voices was his, because there's never any damn names on the speaking text box here. Like now, who the hell's talking? I haven't got a clue. One of the two guys. Which one? Who knows? Oh my, I see you finally managed to reunite with your daughter, Hatano. How very touching. Daughter? This man was Senna's father? I definitely heard Senna say the name Hatano before. Please do enjoy your touching reunion to the fullest. When you are satisfied, please take your seat and enjoy the upheaval of the world as we know it. Once we fully activate Noah 2, it will be possible for it to exert its influence over not only the people of Shibuya, but all humans who reside in this world. The network has already been fully constructed. Suddenly the voice from the speaker was cut short. And then a series of strange sounds came through them, which means their power hadn't been cut off. Something was wrong. Well, Narose did kill you guys in that one route, so it wouldn't be surprising if someone just kind of came in and started blasting. Like that. Yeah, exactly like that. Just now, were those Sua's gunshots? Yep, gunshots. After the gunshots came the raspy sounds of a man breathing raggedly. Impossible! This can't be. I was to be the ruler of... Yeah, about that. A final deathly scream. Then, with a dull click, the audio was cut short once more, and the speaker fell silent. An oppressive silence covered the room. What had just happened? Were they killed? You think so? Killed by whom? I don't know, but that's kind of what gunshots do. The two voices were being broadcast from somewhere else, and the audio was coming out of the speakers, so how close were they to the room we were in? At the very least, they had to be somewhere in the building. Oh, because did we hear the gunshots not through the speakers? Did we hear them off in the distance? Is that what he means? Taking that into consideration, the culprit who killed those two had to be close by. Sua, where are you? Let's get out of here. There could be a crazed murderer on the loose. No. Kazupi's at school. And just who exactly is this crazed murderer? Why were those two killed? No, hold on. How do you know they were killed? You have proof? I mean, even Hatano heard the gunshots. Calm yourself, Senna. We're just gonna... Yeah, I'm not talking to you. We're just gonna forget the fact that we hit your guts for a moment. You heard that scream, right? They had to have been killed. Who killed them? Shogun? But wait, wasn't Shogun supposed to be a member of Nozomi? No, because you're an idiot. No. That was just an assumption on my part. There was no evidence proving he had anything to do with them. Running away might prove slightly difficult. This building is on the verge of collapse. There are cracks appearing everywhere, and the walls are starting to warp inward. Well, in that case, running seems like something you should be getting on. Toot sweet. Immediately after I entered the room, the entrance was sealed off by rubble. Well, that's convenient. It was just as Hatano had said. But I had this nagging feeling, one that told me that considering the way the walls and everything around us had collapsed, there was way more debris than there should have been. I had a bad feeling about this, so someone hallucinated the debris in to just mess with us. Well, it wasn't like I had ever been to an abandoned building before, so I couldn't exactly judge the relationship between the way a room collapsed and the amount of rubble produced. The only thing I knew for sure was that we managed to escape being buried alive, but the fact that we were still locked in hadn't changed. We could destroy it with my D-sword. Can you do that now? Oh, it finally occurred to me that the bizarre resonant sound from earlier had finally stopped. Well, excellent. Get chopping. Maybe the earthquake had destroyed the device that had been the source. I think it was called a porter? How did you know about that? If that was true, then Senna might be able to get us out of here. I breathed a sigh of relief, then waited to hear Senna's brilliant plan of escape. Cut a hole in the wall and jump. However, she didn't take out her D-sword. She simply continued to glare at Hatano-san. What were you talking about with those two? We were unable to come to a mutual understanding. A tale as old as time, wouldn't you say? You couldn't come to a mutual understanding? Is that really true? Are you not still in contact with them? Where the hell have you been? And what the hell have you been doing for the past 6 months? What the hell made you decide to appear now of all times? Have you been watching us from somewhere inside the building? For the past 6 months, I've been roaming around Shibuya, longing for death. I had no intention of returning to the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light. nor Nozomi technology. Senna gave a light click of the tongue and turned toward me. What leads you to believe those two were killed? It's, you know, kind of obvious. Those men have many enemies. Hatano stepped in. Anyone could have killed them, in truth. Like I said before, I'm not talking to you. But there was a scream, and we heard a bunch of gunshots. Are you sure that's what happened? What if it was just an act? Were we even hearing their voices in real time? Yeah, but if you keep going thinking about everything being a delusion, you're just never going to be, you're just going to keep thinking in circles. What was she talking about? In spite of Japan's very extensive earthquake precautions, the head office of one of the biggest megacorporations in the country has taken this much damage. Needless to say, there must have been an incredibly large earthquake. Weren't they speaking in real time to Hatano over the speakers? So, why were those two yammering on and on about classified information to us through a speaker? And why now? Actually, you know what? She has a point. It was a weird, pompous conversation to be having in the middle of nowhere, but I thought Hatano was a part of it. Again, no labels on the speech bubbles, so who the hell knows? Senna painstakingly enunciated her each and every word, unlike Psy'Min, as if to make sure I knew exactly what I was claiming. Classified information? What, like Noah 2 and the Third Melt? Not that I knew anything about them either way. It all felt pretty performative. Maybe they needed us to hear what they were saying. Why else would they leak classified information to us? Were those two actually there when they spoke to us? Or could they have died before the earthquake even occurred? Nishiju, ever since we infiltrated the building, we have yet to run into those two even a single time, correct? But they were talking on the monitor. On the monitor, yes. In reality, we never actually met them. They could easily be fake. Yeah, did we actually have a back and forth that first time? Or did they just talk down to us, talking about how brazen we were and how they were going to torture us and leave us here for a week? I don't think they actually responded to what we said. I don't think. I could be wrong. And of course, everything with the speakers goes without saying. Something is wrong here. Very, very wrong. And Hatano, staring at me with wide eyes, interrupted Senna. Oh, hey, there's a sprite. Nishiju Takumi-kun. Is that really you? So you recognize our name from the stupid little essay? I see. You are... Don't move! Senna, in response to being ignored, called out to Hatano-san in a sharp voice. I'll ask again. Why are you here? I came to save you two. No, it might be more accurate to say I came here to be killed. Oh, we can, don't worry, I'll kill you very soon. Yeah, that can be accommodated. But before that, answer my questions. How did you know that we were here? I felt the strong call of a mind. How could you, a man who isn't even a gigalomaniac, be able to feel that? Maybe he was the one in Norose's office. Show him your Garo Froggy. And even then, only a fraction of gigalomaniacs can detect vague, undefined delusions such as that. We can do it. Someone like Kazubi, for example. Come to think of it, I wonder how she's doing. Was she caught up in the earthquake? I hope she's safe. Did you really feel something? Or did you know that we'd been lured here the whole time? Well? Calm yourself, Senna. Hatred is overtaking your heart. Hatred is filling your sword. You're gonna go Kazubi in a second. Calm myself? As if I could calm down when the person I've been hunting down for so long is standing right before my very eyes. You mustn't overthink things. Reality is not as complex as a conspiracy theory. It is far simpler. You showing up here and now, it's way too convenient. You planned this from the very beginning, didn't you? Us being lured into this room and confined. The earthquake, you showing up here, those performative speeches ripped straight out of some conspiracy theory, and that inexplicable interruption. We don't even have proof that this room is in the Nozomi building at all. What if we were carried out of the building while unconscious and brought somewhere else? You could have just replicated the interior from the room in Nozomi. The earthquake didn't actually occur and the rubble scattered everywhere was artificially arranged. Well, Senna's a skeptic. The more words Senna threw out, the more unsure I became on what to believe. And we're not even into delusion territory yet. It felt like the very foundation of knowledge I had always relied on was collapsing, like it was being pulled apart piece by piece. Jumping at shadows like this will be your downfall. Hold yourself together, Senna. Don't you dare call me that! I don't plan on having a nice conversation with you, so answer the goddamn question. The earthquake did occur. That truth is absolute. All buildings in Shibuya are on the verge of collapse, and the casualties must be in the thousands. Do you have a way to prove that? How about you go outside? Go on. Try destroying that wall. With your D-sword, of course. Yeah, I've been kind of waiting for you to cut your way out of here. You can get on that anytime. Senna threw out her right hand as if she was shaking something off. Her D-sword materialized in an instant. Senna swung it down toward the wall without hesitation. The D-sword smoothly cleaved through the wall like a hot knife through butter. The wall broke down. Immediately after, a fierce, chilly wind blew through the room. The scenery from behind the destroyed wall was laid bare before us. Is this an outside wall? And what we saw there was... yup. I'm still not convinced. You could have replicated Shibuya. Shibuya transformed into literal ruins of death. Just a few hours ago, it had been crowded with people. Flashy videos were playing in an insane volume from various jumbotrons, and it was overflowing with glittering decorations, things all befitting of the City of Youth. But now, almost all of the iconic buildings had collapsed, and those that had survived were either leaning at a sharp incline or had violent cracks gradually eroding away at them. Not a single car remained on the road. The asphalt had caved in at multiple points and had risen up at many others. Pitch black smoke billowed from numerous locations and disappeared into the blackened sky. That was the Shibuya we saw from atop the skyscraper. Senna had only been jumping at shadows, and I was no better. There was no mistaking it. We were still on the 31st floor of the Nozomi building, and an earthquake had definitely occurred. There was no telling when the building we were in would collapse. If the building were to fall, I'd have no chance of surviving. It would end with me being crushed under endless tons of rubble. I could be buried for all eternity with my body never being found. I needed to get out of here as fast as humanly possible. Yeah, exactly. Trembling violently, I surveyed the room. Huh? What, are they already gone? They immediately pieced out. My eyes instinctively honed in on an object, a monitor that had fallen on the floor. It doesn't make sense that a mere earthquake caused this much damage. Was it Noah 2? Yes. It was the third melt. The final trial run of Noah 2. Half of the LCD screen was broken, so nothing was displayed on it. However, the remaining half was tenaciously still lit. I didn't think it had been on when I looked earlier, but I wasn't completely sure. What are we noticing? The third melt. Does that have anything to do with you? I already told you. I have been running away from Nozomi for no less than 6 months now. Not just Nozomi. You ran away from me, Mom, and my little sister. Yes, I admit it. Only half listening to Senna and Hatana-san's strained arguing, I crouched down in front of the monitor. There were letters on it. Text was being displayed. Uh-oh. Whose eyes are those eyes? Oh! Oh, interesting. What the? Takumi, are you seeing this? Yes, no. Who could this be? Well, this seems like a suspenseful place to leave off the episode. I couldn't find a really good stopping point, but this will do because we have some very interesting revelations coming up in the third and final part of Senna's arc. I will see you then.